know they say we only use 10% of our brain. I think we only use 10% of our hearts.
So, do we only use 10% of our brain, and where does this adage come from? The theory that we only use 10% of our mental ability was popularized by American author Lowell Thomas, who in the introduction to the 15 million copy bestseller How to Win Friends and Influence People gave a figure of 10% and attributed the theory to Harvard psychologist William James. William James, in turn, first conceived of the theory of stored latent mental ability in the 1890s by extrapolating the conception of second wind when experienced after prolonged mountain hiking to the possibility of finding second or third winds when hiking in the intellectual sphere of activity. He first stated his principle of reserved mental energy in his 1806 lecture, The Energies of Men, where he states, if an unusual necessity forces us to press onward, a surprising thing occurs. The fatigue gets worse up to a certain critical point, when gradually it passes away and we tap a level of new energy. There may be a layer after layer of this experience. A third and a fourth wind may supervene. Mental activity shows the phenomenon as well as physical, and thus we ordinarily make use of only a small part of our possible mental resources. James's theory of reserved mental energy was then adopted by his energetic PhD student Boris Sidis, who after being imprisoned in Russia for 2 years at the age of 17 for trying to teach peasants to read, commented upon his arrival to America that walking into the Boston Public Library was like walking into the gates of heaven. With his passionate requirement for self-education, Boris began to apply James's reserved mental energy theory to the intensive daily accelerated education of his newborn son, William Sidis, who Boris named after his mentor. Subsequently, on the premise that a majority of one's brain is unused, Boris Sidis worked in the early development of his son to tap into the unused fraction of stored mind to create the archetype child prodigy William Sidis, who after being accepted into Harvard at age 9, mastered medicine, law, and mathematics, graduating at age 16, later to famously become the model for the main character of the 1997 film Good Will Hunting.